In chapter 21, The Unknowable Room, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are sitting in the Gryffindor common room. And so Harry is really just racking his mind, kind of thinking of ways to persuade Slughorn to give up that memory. And Hermione is letting him know you don't have to like trick him, you have to just think of a way to make him give you this memory. And Harry is thinking of different ways. He's trying, looking in his book by the Half-Blood Prince to see if there's any clues in there. Hermione's like, you're not going to find anything in there. Just go and talk to him. And then Ron is struggling with his homework a little bit on the side. Hermione gets frustrated, just takes his homework, and then Ron says, I love you, Hermione. She blushes a little bit. And then Harry's still thinking about just ways he can persuade Slughorn. And Slughorn has been avoiding him, or it seems like he's been avoiding him, because he's been trying to talk to him after class, and Slughorn's been like dipping off right after class is done, because probably doesn't want Harry to even confront him about this Horcrux business. And when the common room gets a little more empty, then in comes Kreacher out of nowhere, and then followed by Dobby, and Dobby's like, you should let me know before you're going to apparate. And then, so they tell Harry about Malfoy and what he's been doing, and basically just let him know that he's been on the 7th floor, which coincidentally is where the room of requirement is, and that Malfoy is always there when they see him. He always goes with a different set of 2 people. And so Harry comes up with this theory that maybe he's using Polyjuice Potion to transform Crabbe and Goyle into either girls, like those 2 girls he saw leaving the Quidditch match, or just different people every time, so it doesn't look suspicious that Crabbe and Goyle are out there, just stand and watch. So then Harry, he goes and tries to stand outside the room of requirement while Hermione's busy, and then Ron is busy with their apparition test. Since they're a little older than Harry, they get to take theirs a little earlier, and Hermione has no problem with hers. Harry's only apparated once, and Ron is the one struggling with apparition, and he's just thinking he's not going to pass, and he's really worried because he wants to pass so he can be up there with Fred and George, and doesn't want to have to take it again. Since he's the oldest of the group, so since he's already there, he wants to be able to apparate. And so Harry goes up with a invisibility cloak and tries, thinking of ways to get into the room while Malfoy is possibly up there, because he didn't notice that Goyle was up there because he looked at the map and Goyle was up there, so he scared him off. That Malfoy was up there. He didn't know for sure, but he assumed because he dropped they was like holding scales, so I guess the indicator that someone was out there would be to drop the scales so Malfoy would know not to come out. And he tried, he could not get in. And then as he kicked the wall and hurt his foot, and he's on the ground, and in comes Tonks out of nowhere. And he has a conversation with her, and Sirius ends up coming up, and it just causes Tonks to shed some tears a little bit. Her eyes watered up, and she's obviously still depressed about losing Sirius, and then she goes and walks off because she was looking for Dumbledore, and he's not there. So then this leads Harry to believe maybe Tonks was possibly in love with Sirius, like loved him a lot, like in love with Sirius. But Hermione's like, yeah, possibly. And also in the Daily Prophet, Mundungus had finally got arrested and sent to Azkaban. That was also something of importance for the chapter. And also while Ron was trying to get away from Lavender, they ducked off into the bathroom with Harry and ran into Moaning Myrtle, who was sitting there talking about a boy that had been in there that had a lot in common with her, and also a boy that had been crying. Maybe it's just something foreshadowing for later, but there was someone that had come into that bathroom and was talking with her, having conversations with her. I think that boy is Malfoy. it just makes sense. Maybe not Malfoy, but I think it's Malfoy.